Any thoughts about the Will Smith incident at the Oscars? Wow, yes, indeed. The world has been taken by storm by this incident. And yeah, right. So, I mean, there's some speculation, was this staged? Which, although I don't, I'm not sure I lean that way, but I don't entirely rule it out. I think there's some element of plausibility that it may have been staged, considering that Pfizer were, from what I've read, that Pfizer, who sponsor the Oscars, are on the verge of announcing a treatment. They're in their third phase for a treatment for alopecia. So this has kind of got the whole world now talking about alopecia. So, I mean, there's an element of plausibility, although I'm not saying it is, but it gives it some possibility. That said, let's go with it being real. Right now, personally, my understanding is that look, you've got to understand something. I don't think it's okay that Will Smith, in front of the entire world, smacks a man and then receives an award and a standing ovation. It, that for making a joke, that he just goes there and just smacks him across the face. That is not acceptable. And you see, you've got to, let's go with this being real. You've got to pause and take a step back. This is how I see it. You see, this man, Chris Rock, is a comedian, as is or was Will Smith. It is his job to crack jokes. Now, the Oscars, year in, year out, they do a performance in which they roast celebrities. That's part and parcel of the Oscars. They do it every single Oscar. This is nothing, this is just run of the mill, ordinary performances. There's nothing, this is not like, oh, it was a surprise. So, okay, let's put that on, just acknowledge that. Secondly, a person has to understand that, look, so if you are very sensitive, so if a person is sensitive to jokes, they shouldn't go to a comedy show because they're sensitive to those jokes. So, okay, this is not the same as a person walking down the road and somebody hurling abuse at them. This is not like that. So I did see a bunch of comments where people were saying, oh, this is defending the honor. This is nothing like that. Nothing like that. Okay. So this is not, Will Smith was not walking down some street and he got jumped, or his wife was getting harassed, or they were sitting at a show which the part of which has a roasting segment in which they roast celebrities, because these are public figures who actually thrive, which is part and parcel of that celebrity lifestyle. So, okay, so put that aside. The other thing is, as far as this joke went, so Chris Rock said a joke about Jada being G.I. Jane because, she's bold. This was, in all honesty, a very mild joke, considering the jokes that have been said about Jada since she herself publicly, with Will Smith, have gone on national TV and told the world that she sleeps with other men for her happiness because her husband Will Smith, cannot give her that happiness. So this, just to put this in perspective, so Jada has gone on national TV and explained that she needs her own pursuit of happiness, which she's not getting from Will. So she sleeps with other men, August and other people that she's, been with. And the only person who decides that is her. And ever since, the internet has roasted the hell out of Jada and Will Smith. So, all things considered, this was a very lame joke. It was nothing compared to how you just need to see the memes about Will, Jada, and her entanglement to see this is nothing. So, him saying G.I. Jane. Another point is Will actually laughs at the joke. So Will laughs at it until he sees Jada is not laughing at it. So, okay, so that's another thing. So they show him, he's going, ha, 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 good joke. And then he's like, oh, okay. This one, no like. So, look, then the internet has brought up, the internet's, this, you guys, why you gotta love the internet. Internet has brought up a clip of Will Smith on stage cussing a person with alopecia. So if you YouTube now, Will Smith making fun of a bald person, it comes right up. He was doing this exact same thing. He was on stage cussing a man because of alopecia and baldness. So, right, so these people understand these things. They're comedians. That's their lifestyle. They make jokes. But to say that, look, it's okay to go and attack a comedian because the comedian is making a joke that is offensive. This is really just part of this kind of uber woke fanaticism. Because, look, just pause for a moment. Put all of this aside. Freedom of speech, the primacy and the importance of the freedom of speech. Let me tell you, look, I saw several Muslims celebrating as well, and several Muslims didn't. This was just like the rest of the world. I mean, it's not like Muslims were on one side, but you see certain people saying this. Now, let me give you a spin on this. You see, you say, La ilaha illallah, that all other gods are false. That is highly offensive to people who believe in those other gods. And many people, including Muslims, we value faith above other things. So above the honor of their wife would be, to certain people, the honor of their faith. When you say La ilaha, that all those gods are fake and false, you offend many people who worship these other gods. Would it be okay now in India, let's say, and we can see the right-wing fascism that is increasing as we speak in India, would it be okay for them to burn down Muslim houses because they say, well, this person is offending me by saying La ilaha illallah. I find it offensive. They say, I find the Quran offensive because it claims the falsehood of all these other gods. Does that give people, because they're offended, does it give them the right to burn the Quran now? Does it give them the right to attack Muslims because they're offended? Ghira, their sense of honor for their religions. You've offended them. Clearly, you've offended them. If you say these idols are useless, the Quran says that what are these statues? These are malakum la tantiqun. They can't speak, they can't do anything. Summun bukmun umyun. It's offensive to people that worship these statues. Does it give them the right to start burning so exactly? So now you start to understand why it's important to have freedom of speech, to have to be able to say. Many Muslims, I don't believe this to be true. In fact, I believe it to be insulting to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But unfortunately, many Muslims say the Prophet married a child. They say the Prophet married a 9-year-old. That is highly offensive to many people. I mean, it's offensive to me. It's offensive to many Muslims who don't believe that. And they say that's insulting. But there are still many Muslims who believe that, unfortunately, and actually go around saying that that's okay to do if provided the law of the land doesn't stop it. That's highly offensive. Would that give the right now for people to start attacking and burning these people and beating them up or shooting them? Or does it? No. Like, you see, so we have to understand first and foremost that speech must be protected even when it hurts and offends you. It must be. The Quran, when the Prophet began teaching the Quran to people, he began on the very premise that I do have the right and the freedom to say this, and I know it is offensive to all of you in Mecca. I know it's offensive. So just, when people go on this part of this militant woke brigadism, I think they should really be careful and understanding the implications and the ramifications of trying to rob society from free speech. Because believe me, it won't be long before this monster turns back on you. And they say, well, actually, saying this about the Prophet, that this person did this, we find him offensive. But maybe they won't, okay, maybe this won't happen in the UK, maybe what doesn't happen in the US, but it happens in other places. Maybe it happens in India. Maybe it happens in other parts of the world. They turn on Muslims. So it is always important to defend freedom of speech, even if it's offensive. And if a person, as far as mocking and ridiculing jokes are concerned, well, you see, this is, I sometimes it surprises me that how people struggle to understand this topic. You see, there is something known as set and setting, or the context. So, for example, a comedy show is a comedy show. Stand-up comedians, they are comedians. Watching comedy sketches, watching Comedy Central, watching these things are comedy shows. Of course, they're going to have jokes that are offensive. But if you're offended, just don't watch them. It's as simple as that. So that's where I stand with all of these things. I do think, I do think there's a chance this was staged. I think there is a chance this whole thing was staged. But because that slap seemed a bit, I don't know, it just didn't seem. And it could be that Pfizer have staged it for the upcoming treatment for alopecia. But it could be that this was real, in which case I find it unacceptable that a man could get up, a man who himself has roasted so many people. And in all honesty, he only did this because it was Chris Rock. I mean, if somebody else had cracked that joke, who would have been bigger than Will Smith, or as they say, if the other Rock, there's no way Will Smith would have got up there and did that. So it's, he just responded in a very erratic way. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. But I will say, I did want to add to that, putting all of that aside. It's interesting watching the it's interesting watching the the kind of disintegration of a popular individual, a celebrity, a world renowned, you know, Oscar winning celebrity like Will Smith, a man who in many ways has it all, money, fame, accomplishment, assets, family, children. You, I mean, love. You tell me he has it all. And there was a period where it felt like that Will Smith was, he was on his way to enlightenment. I don't know if you remember, he was doing a lot of these videos with, what's his name, Jay Shetty, and on spiritual enlightenment, and he was speaking about some faiths, and he was speaking about the Bhagavad Gita, and he was speaking about just spirituality, and he was dropping some gems, and so seemed to be on his way to enlightenment. But it's amazing that this kind of down spiraling, I do feel it is, uh this is my take, Allahu A'lam. I feel this is really Jada, and especially since this discussing on public on national TV that he isn't enough for her, and that she needs to go to other men. I mean, I feel after that it's just been a rapid decline for Will Smith. But it's fascinating, just from a safe distance, spectators observing and seeing where somebody has the entire dunya, has everything, and one could ask for, that he's from wealth to health, to, good looks, to wisdom, to legacy, and still young and healthy, and yeah, I guess we make dua for everyone. We should always pray for everyone's betterment. It goes to show that money, wealth, accomplishments in and of themselves do not guarantee inner peace. That a person can have all of that and still be so broken. May Allah make things easy for everyone who is struggling. Ameen. Right, so yeah, get rid of hell yeah. That would have been number one. Sometimes I do think to myself that, if I had to deal with such and such problem, like when you look at some people's problems and you think, if I had to deal with these problems, by the end of the day, they'd be resolved. Most of these problems would be fixed. But then we have our own problems. That's how it is, isn't it? We can all deal with each other's problems so effectively.